I feel like we have a problem nowadays in the gaming community, and that's so many gamers, whether that's the actual players themselves or even the devs, are starting to feel like cultists in so many ways. And I wanted to come on today and talk with you guys about it a little bit because I think it's actually a big problem in this entire community that I hope we can work towards solving eventually, because it's starting to get really annoying. And you see, I've been thinking about this for a while, and that's because I not only have this channel, but my main channel, Frankly Gaming as well, where I've posted a lot of videos that aren't necessarily the popular opinions to have in games. For example, I'm not a huge fan of Disco Elysium. I think From Software are kind of overrated, and also I don't think Fallout New Vegas is the best thing ever. But the crazy thing isn't that I have those opinions. It's that on the internet, especially in the gaming sphere, it seems impossible to have any sort of discourse around topics that aren't the popular ones to have. And this is carried over into things nowadays as well in terms of DEI, where games like Avowed, Dragon Age, and now even Kingdom Come Deliverance get lambasted before they even come out. Now, we'll talk about it more because don't get me wrong, I absolutely hate Dragon Age the Veilguard, and a lot of the DEI things I personally did not prefer and I think ruin the game, but it's getting out of hand. I see so many people online now screaming at every game that doesn't exactly meet what they're hoping for. I see devs fighting with players, players fighting with players yelling at devs, and it's just a giant shit show, to be honest. And it's making it harder and harder, I think, to have actually intelligent and interesting discourse about games, about what makes them great, about what games do well and what they don't do well. Because there's so many people on both sides that are just absolutely going crazy that the whole situation's getting out of hand. And I think a perfect example that kind of sheds light on this problem in a good way is from my own main channel. For those of you that don't know, about 2 years ago, I had around 1,000 subs on the channel, and at the time I was making a lot of videos about Cyberpunk 2077 around its initial release. And you see, at the time, so many people hated that game. And I was one of the very few that was coming out with video after video talking about why I thought it was so amazing and that people weren't valuing what the game did so well. It's actually a big catalyst for why I originally made my YouTube videos in the first place, because I wanted to get the message out that I felt like everyone was over-exaggerating something that actually was really amazing. But you see, the reason I bring this up is because nowadays, those same people I saw in comment sections either doing death threats, saying I was an absolute idiot, or in Reddit threads complaining over and over again, now love the game for the same things that were always in the game. That being the writing, the characters, and the quests. And guess what? Barely anyone's talking about the new systems. It's simply that they love the game that was always there. And don't get me wrong, I know that it was buggy, but honest to God, as someone that played it on console, on PC, and everything I could on day one of release, it just was not that bad. The hate and vitriol around that game on release, I will argue till the day I die, was completely overblown. You can go and play things like, say, Fallout 4 right now, and it will crash and have more actually game-breaking bugs than Cyberpunk did on release. Or what about Baldur's Gate 3, an apparently beloved title? Did anyone else actually get to Act 3 when it first originally came out? Because I did, and that was far and away, without question, without even debate, much worse than Cyberpunk ever was. Because you see, in Baldur's Gate, the quest didn't work. Entire decisions I made in previous acts were reverted or canceled out entirely, and my game just decided to completely wither away and break. I still love Baldur's Gate 3, and it got fixed, and it's amazing. That's not the issue. The issue is that gaming as a whole right now is such an echo chamber, and a toxic one at that. It feels like no matter what the popular opinion is, so many people like to just pile in on it and will refuse to even accept the possibility that maybe they weren't quite correct. For example, as I already mentioned, I don't love Disco Elysium. I think it has some really cool stuff, but I'm just not a huge fan, and I think it does have some obviously glaring issues. But if you even bring those issues up in videos, trust me, I know, or any other game that's really beloved, like I mentioned as well, From Soft titles, you will get absolutely destroyed. Not because the ideas are necessarily wrong, but because gamers are essentially cultists right now, moving from one popular opinion to another and being toxic the whole way through. And the best example of this currently is far and away the DEI controversies going on in games. You know, as someone myself that doesn't really like DEI, if a game has a lot of inclusion, for example, I tend to not enjoy that. I don't think it's what makes art great. And for example, I don't think romance is cool because you're trans or you're gay. I think romance is cool because of the human condition, what it means to love, and just genuine personalities interacting with each other. So to be honest, when games focus on things like this, I also don't like it. I mentioned earlier, I think Dragon Age Veilguard ruined the series entirely. I love Dragon Age Origins, but even going back now, I like it less because I know where the series goes later. So don't get me wrong, I get why gamers are mad at these things, but it's just gone so overboard. For example, with Avowed, people are already canceling this game without having even played it themselves just because some of the developers were, to be honest, being pretty idiotic online. But newsflash, who cares? Gamers shouldn't care about whether or not the devs are idiots or whether or not the devs agree with their opinions. I'm sorry, guess what? I don't like DI stuff either, but who cares as long as the game is amazing? I've been seeing this with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 as well now. The game, by all accounts, looks like it's going to be getting rave reviews and be really, really awesome. We'll have to see by the time it comes out, but regardless, now online people are freaking out because apparently there's some DEI adjacent scenes within the game, and it's just starting to get so annoying to have to deal with the people on both sides, whether it's people who love things in games or hate things in games. And it feels like there's no middle ground to actually sit and just discuss this medium that we all love. And honestly, I think a large part of that has to do with just the internet in general, right? This obviously isn't just a gaming problem. We see this all over X or all over Facebook and really every social media platform, people arguing back and forth and not really being able to see each other's sides. But gaming specifically has this weird problem cropping up, especially recently, where the devs and players are butting heads so much. For example, I recently saw a video by Tim Kaine, and it was discussing the idea of why developers don't know what games to make for gamers. And the big takeaway is gamers don't even know what games they want. To be honest, that hits the nail on the head. Tim is totally right there. I couldn't have said it better myself. Gamers don't know what they want, and by extension, devs don't either. But guess what? That's what you're paid for. That's literally how you make a living, figuring out what to make for gamers, even though they don't want. And you know, Tim was arguing things like players should give more feedback on what they actually want to see, not what they don't like. Honestly, why? That's not players' jobs. Your job as a dev is to just shut up and make the best game possible. And I don't mean that in an offensive way. I know when I say it like that, that sounds horrible. But it's not because devs aren't human and don't have their own thoughts that should be respected as well. It's because when you're getting paid for a job, no one should give a shit. For example, I work a full-time job as a software engineer too, and I don't have customers coming to me every day and asking, "Oh, how are you feeling? Is it hard for you to make my product? Should I be a little nicer to you?" No, that's stupid. That makes no sense. If you're getting paid as a dev to make games, your job is to, as hard as it is, as much as it sucks, just like every other job, figure it out and get that shit done. And as savage as that sounds, I think this is actually kind of the crux of why we're having so many issues in the gaming sphere right now. The players and devs alike are being such crybabies. On the player side, if you don't like a game or what a game stands for, don't buy it. You don't have to complain when other people like it or get mad at everyone around you. And on the dev side, guess what? If gamers complain and didn't like what you made, first of all, that's what you signed up for. You could have gone into another industry. And second of all, it's not that bad. It's okay. Just move on and try and figure out how to do better next time. Trust me, I know from making YouTube videos, half the time people are really mad at my opinions or takes on things. But guess what? You improve, you take feedback, and you get better next time. So basically what I'm saying at the end of the day is, what's annoying me, I think, most about the gaming sphere is that everyone's complaining, when really, this is video games. It should be about fun, just enjoying things, talking and debating what we like in games and not, instead of all just being crybabies whining about DEI, or the players, or the devs. Who cares? All that matters is that the devs work to make the best product they can that's an actually good game, and that players stop being little babies and just, if they don't like a game, move on, and if they do, join the community and have fun. But instead, what we're left with is this weird cult of sorts, where I feel like gamers especially have no idea what they're talking about. For example, with this recent Pirate Software situation, which for those of you who don't know, he's a popular streamer who during a WoW raid was running away and was in a situation where he potentially could have saved some people but didn't, but also there was a call to leave the dungeon, etc, etc. Basically, big picture, a ton of gamers online are super mad at this guy because in hardcore WoW, he let some of the guild members die instead of potentially sacrificing himself as well. But here's the problem. I'd say 90% of these people complaining about this situation and dogpiling on Pirate Software and hating him have no fucking clue what they're talking about at all. They've never played WoW at a high level, they've never played hardcore WoW, and they might not even know what a raid is. You can look at people on both sides, whether it's someone with a ton of experience as the #1 rogue on the server saying that what he did was wrong. But on the same token, you can look at someone like Asmongold, who has hundreds and hundreds of hours in the game, say that what he did was right. And yet, everyone just dogpiles on either side when they actually have no clue what was right or wrong. And the reason I bring it up is because it's another example of how aggravating it is right now that especially gamers online will just jump at the bone like piranhas for anything that will let them be outraged or mad at things that don't even matter. Another perfect example I can think of just right off of my head was I was watching a recent Mr. Matty Plays video. I don't know if you guys watch his channel, I think it's really great. The previous video he had done was about how Xbox was failing and stumbling a lot in all of their plans. And then his next video was about how Xbox had some crazy new rumors that might be really exciting. And in that video, the entire comment section was really aggressive and pissed off messages about how Matty was selling out and just doing it for the money, and he had just made a video about how Xbox was bad but now had one about how it was good and how the title was clickbait, and just so many pissed off things with tons and tons of thumbs up and other people agreeing. And I don't know. This isn't even coming from the fact that I also make content, but just the fact that it seems so stupid to me. Nowadays, in 2025, are we really acting like clickbait is this huge issue? Everyone knows it exists. When you click on a video with huge titles and huge claims, you know it's probably going to be on topic, but it might be a little clickbaity. But yet, year after year, it feels like these people are just getting mad over and over again at things that we're all well aware of. And on top of that, Matty's video did address the topics in the title, and it was a good video. It was solid. And most importantly, I want to remind everyone, this is video games. Who cares if a title had an all capitalized word in it and it was the opposite opinion of the last video? And guess what? Human beings have nuance. Problems have nuance. When a game like Avowed comes out and might have DEI elements in it, that doesn't mean it's DEI infested and it's horrible and everyone should boycott the game. Things always have nuance. And that's because, as Aristotle always argued in Nicomachean Ethics, life usually lies in the means. Things aren't so black and white, but the cult of gaming nowadays, whether that's with the gamers themselves or even the devs now kind of turning against gamers in many cases, I think it's time we just step back and chill. This is gaming. It's not that serious. It's fun. It's exciting. And if you really are that mad at so many games and you're getting worked up about certain people's opinions or where certain genres are going, then why are you even here in the first place? And really, at the end of the day, I know this was kind of an off-the-cuff video, but I wanted to get something out there because I do get it. I get getting mad online. Trust me, I've made many X posts where I have very strong opinions about games and why they should be certain ways, etc, etc. But still, it just worries me how cultish gaming in general is becoming. It feels like it's harder and harder each day to have genuine, interesting discussions, or to just enjoy a medium for what it is. And most frustrating of all, it's from people that don't even have actual real opinions of their own. On one side, they'll love Baldur's Gate 3, which has trans characters, but then anytime any other RPG even announces they have the same thing, they'll go up in flames and be pissed. Because remember, at the end of the day, all of this extraneous stuff doesn't matter. In the realm of games, all that matters is you make the best damn game possible, and as a player, if you like it, you can play, and if you don't, move on. And really the main purpose of this video is just kind of getting that idea out into the zeitgeist more. Just like how so many people are pissed at devs, or devs are pissed at players, or problems with DEI and things, I think that's because of the discussions that go on. It's unbelievable how many people don't form their own opinions. So I think the best way to fight back against it is to make the popular opinion that people that don't form their own opinions are idiots. That way people can be shamed into actually being decent human beings that have interesting discussions on games. Because as it stands, it's so hard to just have chill conversations about games and discuss what we like and don't. But as always, thank you guys very much for tuning in this week, and let me know down below what other topics you guys would like to talk about and discuss, and I hope you have a good one.